Uspap page 266. Appraisal development and scope of work issues continued. Roman numeral 1. Its location and physical, legal, and economic attributes. Roman numeral 2. The real property interest to be valued. Roman numeral 5. Whether the subject property is a fractional interest, physical segment, or partial holding. In addition, the comment to this rule states in part, an appraiser is not required to value the whole when the subject of the appraisal is a fractional interest, a physical segment, or a partial holding. The subject of a real property appraisal is not required to include all of the physical parts of an identified parcel or tract of real estate. The subject of a real property appraisal can be a full or fractional ownership interest in all or any part of an improved or unimproved parcel, or tract of identified real estate. For example, the subject of a real property appraisal could be a partial interest in the land, all or part of the land, the improvements only, the fee simple interest of a fully leased or otherwise encumbered property, or some other configuration within a parcel or tract of identified real estate. Use of a hypothetical condition or extraordinary assumption is not necessary in the specific case of appraising the land component of an improved property. Although one or both may be necessary in other specific cases, the same is true whenever appraising any other portion of the subject. To avoid communicating a misleading appraisal report, the report should disclose the existence of the improvements as part of the property, but the improvements do not have to be included in the valuation. Number 185. Appraising physical segments, such as a 5-acre portion. Question. A local lender has asked me to appraise only a 5-acre portion of a 62-acre parcel. Am I permitted to comply with this request? Response. Standards Rule 1-2E, Roman numeral 5, states that the subject of an assignment may be a physical segment of a property. However, appraisers must also comply with any laws, regulations, guidelines, or other assignment conditions that might apply. If the assignment requires compliance with published assignment conditions, the appraiser must be aware of the current guidelines or regulations if applicable. Failure to recognize applicable assignment conditions would be a violation of the ethics rule or competency rule. Number 186. Proposed improvements. Plans and specifications required. Question. I have been asked to perform an appraisal involving proposed improvements. The client has indicated that plans and specs have not been finalized. Does Uspap require me to review the plans and specifications prior to completing this assignment? Response: no. The comment to Standards Rule 1-2E, Roman numerals 1 through 5, states, in part, when appraising proposed improvements, an appraiser must examine and have available for future examination plans, specifications, or other documentation sufficient to identify the extent and character of the proposed improvements. That was highlighted. Bold, added for emphasis. Hence, the appraisal can be based on other documentation if that documentation provides sufficient information to properly identify the relevant characteristics of the subject property. Page 267. Additional guidance on appraising proposed improvements can be found in Advisory Opinion number 17, Appraisals of Real Property with Proposed Improvements. Number 187. Is an AVM an appraisal? Question: are the results from an automated valuation model, AVM, an appraisal? Response: no. Advisory Opinion number 18, Use of an automated valuation model, AVM, states, an AVM's output is not, by itself, an appraisal, and communication of an AVM's output is not in itself an appraisal report. An AVM is a tool that delivers an estimation or calculation, whereas an appraiser arrives at an value opinion by applying his or her judgment and experience. An appraisal is defined as an opinion of value, which is distinctly different from an estimate or calculation of value. An AVM uses automated processes and cannot produce an opinion of value because only individuals can exercise judgment and form opinions. An AVM is just one tool among many that an appraiser might use to arrive at an opinion of value. Appraisers are cautioned that this response is based on the Uspap definition of appraisal jurisdictions that use a different definition of appraisal may reach a different conclusion. Number 188. Appraisers' Uspap obligations when using an AVM. Question: what are an appraiser's Uspap obligations when using an automated valuation model, AVM? Response: many appraisers use calculators, spreadsheets, analytical software, and similar tools to analyze market data and calculate assignment results. The nature of the appraiser's service and how these tools are used are important factors in recognizing Uspap obligations. When appraisers use an AVM, it can be as part of an appraisal assignment that provides value opinions to the client, or it may be for an assignment to run the AVM and provide the output to the client. Advisory opinion number 18. Use of an automated valuation model, AVM, provides advice to help appraisers properly distinguish among the uses of an AVM. Additional guidance can be found in advisory opinion number 37, computer assisted valuation tools. An appraiser who uses an AVM for any purpose must comply with Uspap. The portions of Uspap that apply generally to appraisal practice include the preamble, the definitions, the ethics rule, the competency rule, and the jurisdictional exemption rule. When the assignment involves or includes providing an opinion of value for real property, the assignment is an appraisal, and the record-keeping rule, the scope of work rule, and standards 1 and 2 also apply. Number 189, Uniform Act and scope of work. I'm doing an appraisal assignment for a government agency that is subject to the jurisdiction of the Uniform Relocation Assistance and Real Property Acquisitions Act of 1970, as amended, commonly known as the Uniform Act, and its implementing regulation, 49 CFR Part 24. The regulation requires the acquiring agency to develop the scope of work and define the appraisal problem cooperatively with the appraiser. This is somewhat different from Uspap's scope of work rule, which places that responsibility primarily on the appraiser. The agency is providing a draft scope of work and asking me to comply with that as a minimum assignment condition. This raises two possible scenarios. End of page.